And literally my life changed because there was a man standing there and I said, "Sir, can I help you?" And as the words muttered out of my face or out of my mouth, he literally punched me straight in the face, grabbed me by my hair, threw me to that asphalt pavement, and continued to beat me. For 5, 6, 7, 8 punches. I don't even know anymore. I was doing everything I could to crawl away, to show him I was a human, not a rag doll, to scream, to bite, to do everything in my power. I'm a pretty tough, gruff girl. And at that point, the next thing I remember was seeing the large crease of his elbow come underneath my throat and knowing at that moment it might have been my last breath. As he squeezed so tight, he strangled me, and I completely passed out.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome to Beyond Empty Nest, everybody, the podcast where we explore life beyond the roles we play and the resilience it takes to thrive. Today's episode is all about the audacity to be resilient, to face life's challenges head on and come out stronger. We'll talk about powerful ways to overcome adversity, tips on how to strengthen your resilience, and why choosing to be a light for others can be one of the most impactful things you do. Whether you're navigating new territory, rebuilding, or simply seeking inspiration, this episode is your guide to finding strength within to rise and radiate. Let's dive in, because today, are you in for a treat? If a Zoom room could explode from energy, Erika Rothenberger is the person who can make it explode. And I mean that as a compliment from the bottom of my heart. She is the Director of Performance Systems at Hinkles and McCoy, a national utility contractor. She has also founded 2 female empowerment groups, contributes to several charity boards, and serves as chair of Power's Executive Roundtable, mentoring women across the greater Philadelphia. She's a graduate of Villanova University with a bachelor's in civil engineering and an MBA. Erika is also a published author, podcast of Grit, Grace, and Glitz, and a keynote speaker known for her dynamic presence on stages nationwide. Erika lives near me in Harleysville, Pennsylvania, with her husband, Andy, and their children, Drew and Adeline. Outside of work, she loves traveling, fitness, and family time. Welcome to Beyond Empty Nest, Erika.
Oh, I am so excited to be here. Let's bring the energy on, Jody. I am thrilled that you asked me to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, before we dive into I love that you came up with the audacity to be resilient. Like, you have the audacity to be resilient. Hell yes. But there's always a backstory. All my guests have one. It's important we share our stories. People see ourselves in our stories. So, how is it that you became such a champion for women and resiliency?
Love it. And before I even dive into that story real quick, is reminding ourselves that, to me, resiliency isn't something we buy. We can't find on Amazon Prime. We can't pick up at Walmart. It is something through being audacious, through being bold, through being brave, through being badass, that we build this muscle of resiliency. And I truly believe so many things in my life have helped me strengthen that muscle. And the one incident that really tested me and really brought me to that next level and let me build that shield even thicker, really goes back to June 16th of 2022. Jody, it was crazy. You never know that your predicament can actually be your destiny in so many things that you do in life. And, it was a typical day, right? June 16th, kids had been out of school, babysitter, husband's in Kansas City. I drive to work the exact same way. I have that slamming pink blazer on with the matching shoes. I take that last sip of lemon water. I'm sitting in my office parking lot, just a typical, Thursday in my mind. And as I go and take that last sip of lemon water, I go to gather all my belongings. Us ladies, we carry, umpteen bags in the front seat.
Our bags
And
have bags.
Right? I mean, like sometimes I think I should be called the bag lady.
Yeah.
And I go to open my door, and literally my life changed because there was a man standing there, and I said, "Sir, can I help you?" And as the words muttered out of my face or out of my mouth, he literally punched me straight in the face, grabbed me by my hair, threw me to that asphalt pavement, and continued to beat me for 5, 6, 7, 8 punches. I don't even know anymore. I was doing everything I could to crawl away, to show him I was a human, not a rag doll, to scream, to bite, to do everything in my power. I'm a pretty tough, gruff girl. And at that point, the next thing I remember was seeing the large crease of his elbow come underneath my throat and knowing at that moment it might have been my last breath. As he squeezed so tight, he strangled me, and I completely passed out. Luckily, by the act of like someone so much higher than me and faith and resilience and all of the things, the grit, I just remember seeing all these bright lights and just feeling my heart racing like crazy, having no idea where I was, and realizing what the heck just happened to me. Somehow, crawl by crawl, grip by grip, I was able to get to my feet and run for help. He was actually in my car at that time. The office building that always seemed so close to me was so far away. And I'm an avid runner. And yet I felt like I was running an ultra marathon. Wow. And at that moment, I ran into my office building. I screamed this blood curdling scream. He apparently escaped by foot and started running away, started burying himself in the large marshes and grasses by my office building. I was taken to the trauma hospital, and the next 48 hours were an utter blur. And listen, this was 2.5 years ago. I'm still going through legal hearings with him. He still doesn't even have a sentence. And, I could tell you so many more dynamics of the story, but that's not the point. The point is we all go through punches. We all have to grapple grip by grip, whether it is the death of someone that we love, whether it's a child that has, an illness, whether it's the job that's not working out, the bankrupt business, like we all have punches. And I'm not comparing mine to yours. I'm just saying we all have them. Oh, yeah. But as we go through those things, we start to build that layer of resiliency.
No. Well, wow. Okay. We're going to take a moment because I have chills all over. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces of your story, and yet I've never been in a room where you shared it like that. So we're going to all take a deep breath. And I just want to thank you because it's not always easy to share. I also do know that part of your resilience is sharing, is not keeping it bottled up. And I want to thank you because I want to thank you for sharing your story and also for saying that we all have punches. You can say it anyway. I was sitting in a women's conference last year, and they're like, we all have stuff. Everybody has stuff. Call punches, call stuff. Everybody has stuff. And it's not a competition that mine is worse than yours. And you know what we normally do? This is a typical shame moment is for somebody to sit here and think, my God, who just heard your story, how dare I complain about my life? No. That's not the purpose. You're getting the wrong takeaway. Everybody's stuff, everybody's punches are their stuff and their punches, and it affects you the way it affects you. And I love that you shared that because I do know that sharing your story is a huge part of the healing and the taking your power back and the resilience that you talk about.
1,000%. And I truly believe that, there was a couple pivotal moments that happened after like I said, the next 48 hours were an utter blur. Detectives, police reports, newscasters, like DNA samples, like all of the things. But I remember so distinctly, Jody, hearing the giggles of my kids in our pool and being like, I have a choice right now. I can let this moment, just like we all can, define me, or I can let it refine me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying within 48 hours I had it completely figured out, but what I am saying is we all take different times to heal and to get through things. And in that moment, I remember distinctly deciding I am not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be a mere survivor. I am going to thrive in whatever that looks like. And some of it, the second pivotal moment was when I decided to forgive him.
No.
And that was hard. And some people may be saying, WTF, like, how could you even think of forgiving him for what he did to you? I don't know his story. I don't know the trauma that he's been through, but I knew I could not truly heal and move on unless I could give that forgiveness away to him. Not that I feel like he shouldn't be punished, and not that I feel like he shouldn't be,
Right.
you know what I mean? In the,
but that's not what forgiveness is about.
No.
People make a big mistake. Forgiveness is not about no punishment for what you did. Forgiveness is letting go of the anger so that it's about you not walking around, because if you're walking around with anger, you're missing joy and pleasure.
But how do you move on with your own life? It doesn't mean
that you don't think he deserves punishment. Of course he does. He did something wrong, no matter what his story is, regardless of his story. Yeah.
Correct. And I think that so much of us hold that anger, that resentment, or that, and I've done it. Believe me, the only reason I'm saying it is because in my past, I've done it. And I'm like, where has that gotten me? Right.
So
and, I think the third pivotal moment, and this is where you started this question really came from, is when I decided I wanted to be the light for other people. And that was the pivotal moment when I said, listen, when we think about our own lives, right? Like when we're young, we're so we're much more, in my opinion, selfish, what's in it for me, blah, 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 blah. And the older I get, and I like to say wiser, when we know we can serve others and we know that our story becomes their survival guide, that's when you're like, oh, this is so much bigger than me. And if my story impacts one person, never mind hundreds of thousands of people, when you have that ripple impact, that's when when I knew that was part of why this didn't happen to me, but for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. See, that's a big conversation I've had with people around grief. But so I love it. So what I'm hearing you say is to overcome adversity in your life, overcome the punches. The first thing that has to happen is what I always say, the word dare. Dare is my word. My dare is my fun word to step out of your comfort zone. But I also came up with what's called, I have an acronym for dare for people who want to figure out what their purpose and fulfillment is. And the D is about deciding. Because you can't overcome adversity unless you decide you want to. You can't become have a different career until you decide that you're ready to figure out what that next career is. And you don't have to know the answer, but nothing happens without a decision. And you said too that you had to decide that you were going to thrive and not be a victim. And you mentioned your children, that you had something to live for here, to decide to thrive, and you had to decide to forgive.
Yes.
Decision is the key to overcoming adversity. Is this the first step for it? Is to once you make a decision, then you just go, how? Yeah. And now you're ready to figure out, okay, how? Become aware of what you want to become, what you want to do, what your next step is, who to ask for help from.
Yeah. And if we worry so much about the how, we'll never make the decision, right? Because we're so worried about what could happen. And I have an acronym in my Audacity to be Resilient keynote, which is called BOLD. And the B is believing in yourself, just like making the decision, right? When we believe enough in ourselves, we'll figure everything else out, right? But if you can't start with the inner work, and that's where I needed to start. I needed to heal here first before I could go out there and share.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, to come full circumference when you can now start impacting others, right? Which is the D in BOLD, develop others.
Yeah.
Now
Oh, I
you know
love
you've
that.
come full. And I'll have you guys listen to the keynote and find out what O and L are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
I'm not.
No. All right. And I'm not giving the whole dare away either. So there you go. People, you're going to have to get a little curious and decide you want to figure it out. There you go. All right. So let's give our audience, I mean, let's give our listeners like ways to be resilient. We've made a decision. They know they're here. They tune in to your podcast. They tune into this. They tune into the podcast because they want to learn, they want to grow, they want to be entertained, whatever the reason. This podcast is all about learning and growing and becoming. So the question is, what are some ways to be resilient? I mean, I know I want to hear from you. Like, because
Yeah.
everybody hears my voice all the time. It's time to hear Erika's voice. So, what are some ways that we could be more resilient to build our resilience and to start to build that muscle? Because it's a muscle.
It is a muscle. And I'm so glad you're bringing that up. And to me, like, again, the equation is when we choose, we don't just, we're not born with resiliency, right? Like, I don't think it's just something that naturally, yeah, maybe your parents are more resilient and you get prone, but like, it's not just like this, like strand of DNA that you get or you don't get. To me, it's something we have to continue to work on. And the bolder and the braver that we are when we make decisions, when we do step forward, when we dare to make the move, when we dare to take that new job, when we dare to run the marathon, write the first page of our book, get on the TEDx stage, whatever it is, it's daring to say, I made the decision, to your point,
Yeah.
that I believe in myself and I'm willing to do it. And the more we start building that, when we get setbacks, changing our mindset that every time you feel setback, and you will many times, is how is this setting me up? And literally pen to paper, deciding, okay, this was a setback today, but what is it setting me up for? Why am I taking a detour from what felt comfortable to set me up for something greater? Yeah. And to me, one of the best practices that I do daily is I have 4 books that every morning I have a 3-3-3 method, right? That I spend 3 minutes looking at those books and I put them every day in my Instagram story. 2 of them are more spiritual and 2 of them are more on like leadership. And I put them in there. Why do I put them in there? Because I hold myself accountable. And I will tell you that my audience also knows when I don't put them in there. Like if I don't do it, they're like, I didn't see your quotes this morning, right? So now you know what I mean? To be able to give
3 minutes, 3 quotes on 3 stories.
So really, I do 3 minutes investing in yourself every morning before you do anything else, right? We all can find 3 minutes. 3 pieces of gratitude you're going to give out every day, right? 3 people that you are going to bless. You're going to leave a voice note for, you're going to wish them a happy birthday. You're going to just give 3 pieces of goodness out before you even start your day. Yep. It could be a sticky note in your kid's lunchbox. I don't care what it is. And then 30 minutes a day to invest in you. We can all find 2% of our day to read the book, to listen to the podcast, to get to the gym, to do something for you that is going to push you towards that goal of whatever else you're working on, whatever you're daring to do, whatever you are kind of like that scary dairy goal that you just want to work towards. 3-3-3.
3-3-3. I love that. Yep. You know, I work from home. I work from home, so I'm here a lot. Yeah. So I eat lunch at home a lot. Contrary to what people think about entrepreneurs, we don't go running out to lunch with our girlfriends every day. I like my lunchtime. It's quiet. I have nothing on. I don't have the TV on. I don't have podcasts on. And I sit for that 30 minutes at lunch and I read my book.
And that is so important.
It calms it. And if it's fiction, it takes me away. And if it's personal growth, it lifts me up. It's like so yeah, I love your 3-3-3. Well, I like
3-3-30. I'm sorry, I said 3-3-3, but I meant 3-3-30. But 30 minutes, right? 30 minutes for you every day.
I love it. I love it.
You know what I mean?
Right. We can. And don't say you can't find it. You have to find it.
Yep. And it could be 3 10-minute blocks. Say it's walking, right? Okay, I'm going to walk for a half mile before work, a half mile during the middle of the day, a half a mile after work, right? We can all put it in. Right. Everything's figure outable.
And everything's figure outable. I love that quote. I have that quote. So I like this. I also like, because I'm a big proponent of what you said. How is this? I love how you said it though. This is why I love hearing somebody else's voice. Because Erika, you say it differently and it'll resonate with somebody in a big way. You said, how is this setback setting me up? Oh, I am going to use that. I'm going to give you credit for it, but I am using it. Because everything happens for us. I'm going to do a point of clarification because when you said that, I had a expert on grief in season one, and grief's no joke. And we were talking about how life doesn't have the perspective of flipping it around. Instead of thinking everything's happening to you, how is it happening possibly? How is it possibly happening for you? And somebody wrote in the comments, when you lose a child or if you lose a loved one, that doesn't happen for you. And before I could respond, I let my guess. She's like, no, losing somebody doesn't happen for you. The process of how you navigate the grief and come out. So the process with which you had to navigate coming out of this horrific attack is what happened for you. Because through that, I would venture to say you learned a lot about yourself. I mean,
Oh,
I learned,
yeah.
I lost a father-in-law, and my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law in 3 years, bing, bang, boom, all of them in 3 years. It was the worst. And I learned so much about myself during those 3 years.
Yeah.
And navigating difficulties with our children. You learn about yourself as a mom.
Yes.
So I love asking yourself, how is this setback really setting me up?
Yeah. And I don't think we're given anything that we can't ultimately handle.
No.
That's like, again, a teachable moment. And is it hard? Does it absolutely, I mean, losing someone, like no one ever wants that to happen. But again, like what is that opening, right? And how am I going to use that as fuel for that fire that's burning within you? Because if you don't deal with it and we don't talk about it, we try to repress it and we try to push it down, it will either burn within you or it's going to burn around you.
Yes.
And eventually it's going to catch up, because grief has a very funny way, and trauma, of sneaking out when we least expect it if we decide not to deal with it.
Oh yeah. All right. So the other part of this, which you did mention already, and I know I mentioned in my introduction, and I think it's fair to say, this is why we're public speakers. It's the motivation to be the light for others. Is it fun being on stage? Like we happen to be a small percentage of people who love and embrace what most people are scared of, which is speaking. And yeah, it's fun to be up there and the energy that I get from the room. And why we love it so much is for something you said earlier. If I say one thing on this show or one thing when I'm standing up in front of a group, giving a keynote or a workshop, whatever it is, and one person in that room has like that, oh my God, moment, it's like it's a drop of mic moment for me. It's like I've done it, because that's what speakers do for me. I recently attended a Chamber of Commerce event where you were the keynote. And, I sat there and I heard it from you. I was the student in that room. I wasn't the speaker. I didn't come there to be the speaker. I came there to be the student. And, we learn from listening to other people's voices. And I hear it differently. It's like, the manicurist who doesn't do her nails, or the hair salon, we need to hear it said to us. The same thing. So what other ways can gratitude is a way of being the light for others. What other ways have you found being the light for others works for you, or could somebody do?
Yeah, and I think this has to be so simple, right? I don't think we need to overcomplicate this. I think we try to I still love, like, anytime I can just, like I said, through those 3 gratitude messages a day, like leaving people voice messages. So every morning I go into Facebook and I see whose birthday it is. And I leave them a message like this: good morning, Jody. It is your birthday. And I'm so excited for you. I hope you have the most grateful, magnificent, and absolutely daring day.
It's on
happy birthday, right?
You did that this summer for me. Yes.
And it makes me selfishly feel good. But on the other end, I can't tell you how many people will get back to me and they're like, My mom didn't even leave me a message like that, or my best friend didn't even leave me a message, and you did it at 4:45 in the morning. And again, just putting all that out to the universe, because I feel like when you put that out, you get so much back in return.
You do.
How are you showing up in a room? One of the activities that we did, we decided on what's your word. How do you want to be remembered? You don't have a title. You don't have. It's not the money in your bank account. It's not the car that you're driving. It's how, at the end of the day, anyone who is nearing the end of their life, you ask them, like, what would they like want to be? And they were like, I just want to be remembered by what? Right? At the end of the day, all that other ancillary materialistic stuff doesn't end up mattering. And not that we can't want nice things, and that's not what I'm insinuating, but at the end of the day, how do we want to be remembered? And how do we want to show up when we show up in a room, right? And I always bring up that the heart is 5,000 times stronger than the mind. Get into someone's heart, ask them questions, be curious. ABC, always be curious.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting. If you can't figure out the answer to that, like, what's your word? Think about if I were to say to you, Erika, you made me feel. When I'm around you, I feel. That's your word.
Yeah.
And when somebody says it to you, like I recently had somebody that I just met. I mean, I literally just met. And we Zoomed to connect. Because it doesn't matter why. And she says, I invited you on the Zoom to be part of my event because, like, when I'm around you, I feel really good. I'm like, I could cry. That's all somebody has to say to me and I cry. I'm like, I am by nature a super positive, optimistic person, not toxic. I cry, I scream, I get pissed. I was pissed today. And if you see my personal Facebook, it's not like a rant. I will never rant. But you'll see, I had a day today. I posted about it. I thought really long and hard about it, but I did it. But
I can't wait to go read it after this.
And yet, I am by nature optimistic and positive. And you can't say anything nicer to me than, geez, Jody, I need a little dose of Jody today. Like, oh my God, yes. Okay, what are we doing? Right?
And I always say to everyone, like, my word is effervescent. I want to make you feel bubbly and good and all this good energy, just this great juju, regardless of how good or bad your day is. Because I'll always say that to my kids. I'm like, today's going to be a great day. And they're like, Mom, it's raining and you have coffee dribbling down you. And I don't even know if you have the same shoes on today. And I'm like, it's going to be a great day, right? Like, because so much of it is just mental. And I'm not trying to be BS, but and I'm not saying like it's always sunny in Philadelphia, because I have my crappy days too. But what I am saying is that it gets us so much further when we're just that positive light for someone else, because there's so many people that need that light right now.
Absolutely. And going back to the topic today of the Audacity to be resilient, being resilient is setting up your day for success.
Yes.
It's setting up your day for success. And when it doesn't happen, it's okay. You bounce back. The more you can shift your perspective and have that positive outlook and say, well, instead, it's just as easy to say, what if it doesn't work? It's just as easy to say, what if it could work? And see the difference? It puts you in a different, you feel like you said, drop in your heart. Feel how it feels when you say, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. Now say, I don't know how to do that yet. Well, there's a little hope at the end of yet there, right? So all these little ways for resilience. But
and one last way too is the word I've actually extracted from my vocabulary, or I try to, and people actually catch me now, is the word. It's a 4-letter B word. It's called busy. We all think we're so busy, and busy to me has such a negative connotation. So when people ask me, they're like, oh, are you busy? I'm like, I am abundant. And I'm like, they're like, abundant. They're like, well, that sounded kind of cocky. And I'm like, listen, abundant doesn't mean good or bad to me, but like, think about how much more like fruitful that feels. Yes. It could be a bad crop, right? I could have 18 apples in my basket. They could all have worms in them, but it's still an abundant crop, right? We have a lot in our lives, but abundant, like just one vocabulary word can really change the trajectory of our day.
Absolutely. I say full. My mom's like, it's a busy week. I have a full week, Mom. I got a full week. That's an abundant week.
Yes, exact Synonym.
Pay attention. We could do. I'm going to do a whole solo episode on the words words, and I'm gonna quote you on abundance. But so yeah, start with the 3-3-30. Start with and the gratitude. Nothing gets better than when you express gratitude to somebody else, because the basic human need is we all want to feel seen, heard, understood, and appreciated. And when you call somebody, or just when you gave me that message, I'm like, Kim, I haven't spoken to Erika in a while. I'm like, and I love my birthday. So you got the right person for that. I wear earrings that say happy birthday on them. I go around, I tell everybody, it's my birthday. I'm like,
I celebrate birthday. They came from like birthday to then birthday weeks. Now it's birthday month in our house.
yes,
Like,
absolutely.
and I'm going to add in one more tip. You want to bring abundance to your family or to your friends. So this is a silly thing that my family started doing. So my husband, a few years ago, and my daughter was born on August 11th, and it was 8:11 on the clock. And for some reason, he goes, "Happy birthday, Addie." Well, whatever reason is, it started to catch on. So my son's birthday's 7/22, my daughter's birthday's 8/11, my husband's birthday's 9/10, and mine's 4/14. And anytime we see that number on the clock, we have a mini birthday party. So we go, "Happy birthday, Drew," at 7:22, or we'll text each other. My husband and I do it on our anniversary. And it is the funnest 5 minutes of my day, because for 5 minutes, we're celebrating each other's birthday. We don't see it. We don't make a big deal. But if we see it on their phone or on the clock, we have a mini 30-second birthday party.
I love that. And there's a spiritual angel meaning behind seeing your birthday all the time. And by the way, 414 is a number I see all the time. So I might be leaving you birthday messages. I love that. Love that. So yeah, so I love this whole conversation. We could go, there's so many ways that you can build your resilience muscle, your ability to bounce back. You all have the ability to bounce back. First, it starts with deciding you want to build that muscle. So decide today that you're going to do something today to help you become more resilient moving forward. And why not start with gratitude? I love it. Start with that. So thank you. I appreciate that so much.
And the last thing that I'll say, Judy, is I don't think anything that we suggested today costs $1, right? Everything is within us already. You don't have to go buy a coach. You don't have to spend any money. Like, all of this comes from within. And to your point, a decision to want to do these, what may seem like silly things to you right now, but guarantee huge difference, huge shift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't care what people think. If people think it's silly, believe me, you made them feel good. Wouldn't you rather make somebody feel a little silly than just feel yucky? Yes. That's the answer. Yes.
Amen.
We have a lot. We're going to have links below on how you can get in touch with Erika. Erika, you have a book too, though, don't you?
Yes. You've got this, Boss Mama. And I'm writing a second book right now that I hope will be out by the end of 2025. So, and it may have the word audacity or audacious in it. I'll just say that. I'll drop a couple little
hints. Let us know when that goes. We'll share that.
Absolutely.
What's "you've got this, Boss Mama" mean?
So basically, when I was a mom, and I'm still a mom, I should say, still a mom, but a new mom. I had a 1 to 3-year-old at the time. And I just remember being like, I know there's so many other moms out there right now who are like trying to decide between changing diapers and being a career and following their dreams and still going out for girls' night. And it just reminded me, like, you've got this, Boss Mama. Like, you can be the boss of your own destiny at the end of the day, regardless if you're a mom or not. Doesn't matter. To me, that was just the stage that I was at. And I was like, I know there's so many other women that need to hear this message right now. Okay. And chapter 11, don't let anyone dim your sparkle, was so important to me at that stage, because my sparkle was really dim, speaking of light, and I needed to light myself back up.
I love that. I love that. So we'll link to the book. We'll link to your podcast. We'll link to everything that's awesome and effervescent about Erika. All right. Now, nobody gets out of Beyond Empty Nest without a dare. And I know your dare is a really powerful one. We're going full circle to something you demonstrated in the beginning. So share it to everybody. I don't know, maybe your dare has changed. I don't know. What's the dare for the listeners today?
Oh my goodness, I have so many dares.
We'll do a dare and a double dare.
Okay, so first dare, I dare you for going for a solid 21 days to do your 3-3-30, right? 3, 3 minutes of like, gratitude, your three times of gratitude, making sure you're investing in yourself 30 minutes a day. Like just try to get into that habit of starting to do that and see how much it will change, making it a habit for 21 days. Double dare, right? Is then to start to leave your voice notes because it makes such a difference versus texting someone happy birthday. Use the voice note feature in your email, in LinkedIn, on Facebook, and let people feel that energy.
You can leave a voice message in Facebook Messenger, DMs and Instagram, everywhere now.
LinkedIn, I leave it on LinkedIn all the time. People are like, I didn't know that was even a feature.
I didn't know it was on LinkedIn.
Like you will be remembered so much more. Less than 1% of people are using that feature. And I promise you, you want traction, you want to grow your relationships, you want to grow your business, start leaving those personal voice messages. People will remember you.
I love a dare and a double dare. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Erika, for being our guest. My guest. You have given us so much to think about, so much we can implement to, really grow our resilience. And that's what we have to do in this lifetime because there's always going to be obstacles. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And everybody, thank you for tuning in. We want to know what it was for you. What was that one thing? What was that one thing Erika shared that had the light bulb go off and become effervescent in your mind? What was your one thing? Let us know. Let me know. I'll let Erika know. Let her know direct. Leave us, it says a review on Apple. It's just a fancy word for a comment. Leave a comment in the review for us. It means a lot. It means a lot. And I will make sure Erika sees them. And then don't forget that there'll be another brand new episode next week of Beyond Empty Nest. And we really, really thank you for being listeners. And as I always say, dare on. If you've enjoyed today's episode of Beyond Empty Nest, head over to jodiesilverman.com for full show notes and other fun resources. Are you ready to clean up your self-talk and reconnect with your midlife purpose? Negative self-talk can hold you back from the confidence, happiness, and relationships you deserve. That's why I created the Self-Talk Cleanup free 7-day mini challenge. In just 5 minutes a day, you'll grow your confidence, boost your happiness, and build resilience to take on life's challenges. Isn't it time to rewrite the story in your head? Well, if you're ready, click the link in the show notes below and join the challenge now. Dare on.